Time heals all wounds. Really? I was inspired by a TED talk by Chantal Kayumba. I'll put the link down below for you guys to watch it if you feel like it. And it's entitled "Time Does Not Heal All Wounds." So the jury's out. The jury's out on whether time heals all wounds or it doesn't, because this is some really common advice that we get from people when we are hurting, and particularly when we're hurting because of the breakup of a relationship. If anybody's been through that, and I'm sure many of you have, it is horrible, horrible. Okay, from both sides, especially for the dumpy, but generally speaking, it's a horrible state to be in, and many people have taken it to the extreme, found it so unbearable that they eventually will take their own lives. Pain is one of the things we try and avoid as much as possible. Now, there are so many theories about what pain is. We look at Buddhism, we can look at Christianity, we can look at so many different faith-based types of things and get various or very similar kind of opinions about it. Then science obviously has its own perspective, psychology has its own perspective. But what we're addressing here today is time. Is the advice time heals all wounds? Is that good wisdom or bad wisdom? When I was younger, I used to do a lot of physical things. I used to do a lot of extreme sports and get hurt a lot. Anybody who's done any extreme sport, skateboarding, BMXing, motocross, you get hurt. You get hurt very badly, and you get hurt a lot because that's just the nature of the game. Even and rugby as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention rugby. I love rugby. Anyway, so these physical pains, these wounds from physical wounds, I was very blessed. I was very blessed that I used to heal very, very fast. Yeah, very, very fast. It still took time. Okay, time played a factor, but it was the actual treatment of the wound that helped heal it faster. Okay, if you take really good care of it, and you wrap it up and you don't aggravate it all the time, then yes, you will heal eventually. But it wasn't just the passing of time. And myself included, many of us, all of us, I want to put it out there, I want to say the statement, all of us have wounds from childhood, but not the physical ones, the internal ones, the emotional, psychological ones from childhood, when we were very, very young. And some of us don't even know that we have them and how much they control how we do things in our lives, from how we conduct ourselves to our relationships, to our work, to our choices that we make. These wounds are still touching very sensitive parts of our body. Now, myself included, I like to believe I was over that. Okay, that was when I was a kid. Now I'm an adult. Things are different. But if you really look into it, I found that some of those parts are still very sensitive. You know, those wounds haven't healed, hasn't scarred over, hasn't become well again. And I found this when I started to examine certain things that I get triggered by. And I don't mean triggered by getting pissed off with somebody. I mean triggered by something that elicits a very instantaneous, very sharp emotional response to something that you can't figure out why does this bother me so much? Well, in my case, it's different for everybody. In my case, I grew up in a country that was very violent, very oppressive. And every time I see a policeman now or hear a siren, something happens inside. It just freaks out a little bit, and I can't imagine why. Because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong, but because of that conditioning when I was younger, and the trauma of getting pulled over by a cop or being harassed by a cop. And I'm saying policemen are bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just the culture at the time. It's got nothing to do with it. They do a great job. Don't get me wrong. But I had that experience to authority. Generally, authority was very oppressive where I grew up. And you would get into trouble for just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that happens now as well. It's like when I see an authority figure, something happens where I get scared. I get scared, even though I'm not doing anything, but I even get scared, like, am I at the wrong place right now? Am I going to be assumed something's going to happen? So we carry these things. I'm just using a very simple example. There are much more traumatic ones. People have been through horrific childhoods that have got that trauma. So I'm not going to touch on that right now. But all due respect for you guys and all my love for those that have, myself included. But I'm keeping it very lighthearted to make a point. Time heals all wounds. Is that true? I heard a quote the other day which I kind of resonated with. The quote was, "I'm not over it. I've just learned to live with the pain." Is that healing? I don't think so. Learning to live with pain, you're not really addressing the issue, and it's not really healing, is it? Healing is when, like I said, when the scar tissue is built over, and if something touches it, you don't feel that pain anymore. You've dealt with it, and you can then move on. So that's about all I have for you guys today. Just a couple of thoughts. I know this is a huge subject, huge subject, and I will come back to this again because pain, suffering, all of these subjects are very, very important to speak about, and I'd love to speak to you more about it, but I'm trying to keep this video short. I'm staying here right now. I'd love to hear your opinion about pain. Does time heal all wounds? Is time the most important factor in healing all wounds? As I mentioned before, that's just my opinion. You may agree, you may not disagree. We've got wounds from childhood all the way into adulthood. A lot of time has passed, and yet they're still there. They're not healed. So my personal opinion is I don't believe time heals all wounds. There are a lot of things that need to happen for wounds to heal. Time is definitely a factor. By just telling people, don't worry, time heals all wounds, and then we passively sit back and then wait for those wounds to heal, I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing. Sorry. I wanted to say one more thing. I completely forgot about this. Again, with the physical wound thing, because I've endured a lot of physical wounds, I also know that just leaving physical wounds alone, especially if it's very deep and very bad wound, it tends to fester, then getting infected. And the more time that goes by, the worse it gets. Until some circumstances where things actually need to get amputated because of the infection. So time, in my personal opinion, does not heal all wounds. If other factors don't play a role as well, that time that we're hoping to heal might actually make things worse. When we stay in that pain and keep prodding it and keep disturbing it and keep aggravating it, could become infected. And when it becomes infected, a small thing that could have been very easy to heal becomes very, very difficult. Something to think about. I'd love your comments. I'd love for you guys to discuss this a bit more. So one last thing, if you guys are enjoying these videos, please hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you will be notified every time I put out a video. I'm committed to making videos every single day about questioning wisdom in the world. Not to disagree, not to agree, but rather just to question so we can think a little bit deeper, find out exactly what that was intended for and how they can help us. And obviously to elicit conversations and discussions amongst like-minded people. So that's it for today. Respect and gratitude. Thank you.